Hello, everybody. It's Sylvia again. Thank you for joining me here on Butterfly Talk. I am a mom. I'm an EB mom. My son, Nikki, is 24 years old. He has recessive dystrophic epidermolysis bullosa. And today I'm going to be talking to Melissa Jaquez. And she's mommy to Marky. He also has a recessive dystrophic EB. He is 20 years old. And before I get started with the interview, I wanted to show you my mug of the day. And this is one that my husband gave me for Mother's Day. So it says #1 mom. And of course it has Snoopy on it. Snoopy's my favorite. So that's why you put that there. I don't have an EB shirt today. I just have my little heart shirt. I have a lot of hearts and star shirts. I just love them. I think they're really cute. And I'm still wearing my little gold butterfly here. And I will put a link if you like it. I really, really love it. It's the right size, and it's gold. It's only like $10, $12. It's amazing. I love it. It's one of my favorite. I want to get more and longer so that I can wear more. But anyway, that's chatting. So anyway, let's get talking to Melissa. Hey, Melissa. Welcome, Melissa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good, good. Thank you. Welcome to the show. And I will be asking you some questions. But
okay.
I wanted to let everybody know Melissa Jaquez is the mom of Marky.
Yep.
And Marky is how old?
20.
He's 20 years old.
Yep.
And he has recessive dystrophic EB,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little about yourself.
Let's see. I am the mother of 3, 2 boys here, 1 in heaven. Baba's also had the RDEB, and we lost him in 2013. He was 14. And I am a grandmother. I have a little granddaughter. They're actually gonna have another baby in November.
Oh, congratulations!
So another girl. So I had all boys, so now all my grandbabies are all girls. So that's really fun. We live in Kansas. Let's see. I've been staying home with Marky for about the last year since COVID started. I worked in the medical field, and so it got to be too much. And actually, Marky wanted me to stay home. That was his 18th birthday wish, because I've always worked, their entire lives. And so I stayed home for a little bit, and then I had to go back for a while, because you know how it gets with medical supplies and things that insurance doesn't pay for. So I had to go back. But then when COVID started, I was able to stay home with them, and I've been home with them ever since. So, and hopefully things don't get so bad that I have to go back. So our goal is that, I can stay home with them, forever. So that's, hopefully, God willing, that'll be able to,
So you were working full time and taking care of Marky?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was working in nursing homes. I worked with Alzheimer and dementia patients. I started out in laundry, actually, when Marky was just 2 months old. And then I worked my way up, and I became a director of social services. And I did that for about I was a director for about 10 years. And then, like I said, I went back for a while, just traveling nursing. And then I was able to stay home with him. So I've been at home with him for like the last, Marky, like year? Yeah, about the last year.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Of all the horrible things COVID does, it kind of, that's a good thing. You always look for the silver lining for things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Definitely.
your healthy son is the oldest?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
He's 25.
Oh, he's 25. Wow.
Yeah.
And so Baba would be how old now?
Let's see, Marky's 20, so he would have been 21 going on 22, because they were Irish twins, so they were 13 months apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what really got me is that when I was on 2 forms of birth control when I got pregnant with Marky. And when I found out I was pregnant, I went to a geneticist here in the closest city, because at the time we lived in a very, very small town. We were driving 4 or 5 hours just to see specialists for Baba's. And so I came to Wichita, and I saw a geneticist, and of course he had never heard of EB before. So he's like, well, let me do some research, I'll get back to you. And then I had another appointment with him like 2 weeks later. And he said, he goes, I don't think you have anything to worry about. He said, in all my research, I haven't found anything that siblings were born. And, I think you're okay because it's so rare. And, he's like, I've been reading case studies and I've been reading case studies. And he's like, and I wouldn't worry about it at all. I don't think he's going to have it. I'm almost 99.9% positive. He's not going to have it. And so I felt good about it. And again, this was 20 years ago. So it's like before social media, it was before, all of the resources we have at our fingertips today. So I just blindly believed him. I just very blindly, naively believed him. So I was like, well, it's probably true because when Babas was born, I didn't even know EB existed. So I was like, so for it to be that rare, he's probably right. So that was the beginning stages of having kids with EB, to where you just blindly believe doctors. And now that wouldn't fly. Like I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be contacting about 5 other specialists and doing case studies of my own. And, I'll get back to you,
Right. And people don't understand 20 years ago, late 90s, the internet is not what it is today.
No,
not even
at all.
Not even close. And
no.
even when Nikki was born in 96, we had to have Prodigy or CompuServe or America Online. There was no internet per se.
Yeah, no. And everybody just didn't have it at their fingertips.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody had email.
No.
I was one of the first people to get it, and it was still 1992. I was already 28 years old when I first got my email.
Yeah.
So it's a different world back then. Really
so
was.
Completely different. And I get so much hate since I've started Marky's Instagram page of like, why would you do that? Why would you have another, they don't realize, like they don't know the story behind it. Like, I was on not just one, but 2 different forms of birth control,
Right.
And it's like, and then I asked the geneticist, well, is there any way to test for it in the womb? And at the time there wasn't, there just wasn't. And now they have the DNA mapping. They have you take a little bit of blood, and you can come back with like 12 generations of people and what they all had.
That's right.
And then it just didn't work like that.
And people don't understand. I know this was 20 years ago. This was only 20 years ago that there wasn't so much. The world has changed so much in the past 20 years as far as technology and medical fields and computers and all that stuff. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, how is Marky doing? Oh, you already told us about your other children, but how is Marky doing?
So he's doing really good. We go back to Stanford the 13th. And so we're meeting with the fiber cell team. And so when we went out there in March. When did we go, Marky? Was it March? It was like March, I think. We went the first time. It was March. We went the first time, and that was just to take blood work and take biopsies and feed it into the system to see which trials he'd be eligible for. And he came back eligible for 4 different trials, but one of them had already closed due to lack of funding. They'd already done everything they could with the amount of kids that they already had on a waiting list. So they couldn't introduce anybody else into that trial. And then another one, they would have had to have him laying flat on his back, and they would have had to intubate him. And because of his severe scoliosis, I mean, it's really bad. He wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah.
And he's already due for another dilatation. So it wouldn't have been safe to try to intubate him with as small as his trachea already is. So that left us with 2. And so the one that they're going to go with is they're going to take some skin, and they're going to feed, I think from what he said, they're going to feed the actual, the EB gene, like the defective gene, into it. And then they're going to try to trick his body into thinking it has some of the collagen 7. So it's supposed to speed up the healing process. Hopefully it's not going to cure it. Of course, there's no cure, but what they're hoping for is that it'll somewhat speed up the healing process.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to know, if possible, I know a lot of EB families had miscarriages and stillbirths and stuff. Did you have any of those?
Yes. So I had a miscarriage actually right before Baba's.
Oh. Okay.
I was about 3 months along, and I had a miscarriage, and then I had another miscarriage between Baba's and Marky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then after Mark, I was pregnant when he was, so I made a deal with the doctors. I was very young when I became pregnant with Marky, but I made the doctors like get up the paperwork and he sign it that if he was born with the EB to tie my tubes, because I was on birth control when I got pregnant with Baba's too. So I was like, okay, obviously this isn't working. So just tie my tubes. And then I even got pregnant again after my tubes were tied. And it was a what do they call it, a tubal birth, like it gets stuck in like the
tubal pregnancy, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is really dangerous too.
Yeah, it was a lot of pain. I actually went septic with it, and I was pretty sick for a while. Yeah. Wow. And how I found out was that I started feeling sick, and I looked down and there was like green drainage coming out of my belly button.
Oh my.
Yeah. It was, I got very, very sick. Yeah.
Wow. Isn't it crazy? I mean, I think a lot of EB families have, EB moms, I guess, end up with having miscarriages and stillbirths. And I remember asking Dr. Marinkovich, which is the guy at Stanford, why they had EB. And I'm like, that's a possibility,
Yeah.
Because my Alex was stillborn at full term and his skin was peeling everywhere. And the doctor was telling him, of course, we didn't know about EB at the time.
Yeah.
Said, oh, yeah. That's the first thing that goes is the skin. And that's true, but not to that extent.
Yeah.
Not to that extent. So
it almost makes you wonder, what if you had pressed for a biopsy?
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was no.
Yeah.
People
think that we just magically know these things, you know?
There was no hint at this really rare condition.
None. Yeah.
I mean, even if they would have done genetic testing, even if we had gone through done genetic testing before my first pregnancy, they would have never checked for EB.
No. Yeah.
So it's just too rare. So question number 3. What do you wish someone would have told you when Marky and Baba were born?
How lonely it gets. The loneliness, the feeling like you're in an island all by yourself, even though you could be surrounded by people, you still feel like you're on an island all alone, because you have well-meaning people. I wrote a little short poem about it, and it was like, it's called "We're Just Too Much," and it's like we do like, our being friends with an EB mom can be too much. We cancel plans. And sometimes at the very last minute, it could be 5 minutes before you're to meet with somebody. Yeah. Or you're locked in a house for sometimes days, weeks at a time. If they have a corneal abrasion, or if they're, and just, and you have to just shut out the rest of the world and just, focus completely on your child. Yeah. And so you don't return phone calls, you don't return messages, and you can't just pick up and go visit them at their house like they can you. And it gets to be too much for them, because it always seems in the friendship area, they're the ones always coming to you. Right. So but it's not because out of selfishness, it's just because that's our reality. Right. That's just the way it is for us. And so I think somebody could have told, I really wish back then there would have been more support groups, like, but again, we didn't have internet like we do now. Yeah. So, but I think, my goal is I would hope that no mother has to go through that now, with the amount of, social media that there is, the amount of, support groups that there is, because I was severely depressed for the first couple of years, because I felt overwhelmed. I felt lonely. I felt every time I tore some skin, I felt like I was failing them. I wish somebody would have warned me of the amount of depression that sinks in the first, especially 2 years of their life, when they're crying, and you have your normal baby cries, hunger, dirty diaper. But then with an EB baby, there's so many other things that you have to decipher. Right. Are they crying out of pain? And is that a pain because, the normal baby things, like, is their stomach cramping? The normal baby cries, or is it pain because they need pain medication? And then you worry because you're giving him these narcotics that you would never dream of giving an infant. Baba's, when he was 2 days old, he was on codeine. So it's like, and that is scary as a new mom. Scary. I was 18 when Baba's was born, just 18. And then I was a mother of 3 at 19. So so Marky was born September 3rd, 99, and I turned 20 that November. So at 19, I was a mother of 3, and I left their biological father when Marky was 2 months old. So then I was a single mother of 3 for almost a decade, you know, doing it by myself. And there was, you know, and then you fight. And I wish somebody would warn me about the fight with the Social Security office for the disability, for the fight with insurance companies. Like, you know, I wish like there would have been somebody in my corner being like, okay, get ready, because you're going to have to take on an entire medical field, you know, like
Yeah.
you're just not prepared for any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So what is the best advice you've been given for their care?
Actually, that came from you. So it was your website that you put up.
Yeah.
And it was you saying, just, you know, just every day, just take it every day as you possibly can do, and just do the best job you can do for that day. And the
Yeah.
next day, just try to do it again. And, you know, I would get on your blogs and I would just read them like Bible, you know, and I would just like watch your
Well, that was my interview with Melissa Jaquez. Isn't she amazing? She's a big EB supporter, and her son is amazing as well. Marky is great for EB awareness. I will put her links to her Instagram and TikTok. I think she has on below this video. And if you liked it, if you liked the interview, please press like. It helps the channel. And then if you enjoyed learning more about EB, or if you're an EB parent and want to learn more as time goes by, please subscribe and you'll be notified for when new episodes are available. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.